Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you promised yourself, "Tomorrow I will practice English," but tomorrow became another busy day, another missed opportunity, and another night when you went to sleep feeling disappointed? You do not need more motivation. You do not need another complicated course. You need a routine that follows you from the moment you wake up until the moment you close your eyes. Because English does not become natural when you study it once in a while. It becomes natural when it quietly enters your morning thoughts, your daily actions, your work, your breaks, your conversations, and your evening reflection. Today, I am going to show you a complete morning to night English routine that does not require hours of free time. You will learn how to turn ordinary moments into powerful practice, how to think in English without pressure, and how to make speaking feel like a daily habit instead of a difficult performance. Stay with me until the end, because the routine you are about to learn can transform your entire relationship with English. You will stop waiting for the perfect time to practice, because your whole day will become your classroom. Win the first 10 minutes of your morning. The way you begin your morning quietly teaches your mind what kind of day you are going to have. If the first thing you do is reach for your phone, open social media, read messages, and allow other people's voices to enter your mind, then your attention belongs to the world before it belongs to you. English practice gets pushed to later, and later usually becomes another busy hour that never arrives. This is why your first 10 minutes matter so much. You do not need a grammar book, a speaking partner, or a long lesson. You only need to begin the day by giving your brain a few simple English thoughts before your native language takes complete control. When you open your eyes, do not force yourself to create advanced sentences. Speak about what is real. You can say, "I am awake, the room is quiet. I feel a little tired, but I am ready to begin." These sentences may feel small, but they are doing something powerful. They are teaching your brain that English is not only a subject you study later. English can be part of your life from the first moment of the day. Then move into a simple morning check-in. Ask yourself 3 questions. How do I feel? What do I need to do today? And what is one English goal I can complete? Your answers do not need to be perfect. You might say, "I feel calm, but I need more energy. Today I need to finish my work and make an important call. My English goal is to speak for 5 minutes without stopping." This practice is valuable because it trains you to speak about feelings, plans, and goals, using language that belongs to your real life. You are not memorizing random textbook sentences. You are building English around your own morning, and personal language is always easier to remember. As you get out of bed, continue narrating your actions. Say, "I am opening the curtains. The light is coming into the room. I am going to wash my face. After that, I will prepare breakfast." Without realizing it, you are practicing present actions, future plans, and sentence connections. Do not worry if your grammar is not perfect. The purpose of this routine is not to test you. The purpose is to activate your English mind before fear, translation, and distraction begin controlling your day. You can make this routine even stronger by choosing one morning sentence and repeating it every day for 1 week. For example, "Today I will use English instead of waiting for confidence." Repetition gives your brain a familiar starting point. After several days, the sentence will come automatically. And once one sentence comes easily, the next one becomes easier too. Here is a simple 5-minute morning method you can follow. Spend the first minute describing how you feel. Spend the second minute planning your day. Spend the third minute describing what you can see around you. Spend the fourth minute saying what you are going to do next. Spend the final minute repeating one confidence-building sentence aloud. You might say, "I do not need perfect English to begin. I only need to use the English I already know." This routine may look simple, but simple practice repeated every morning can change the way your brain responds to English. After a few weeks, you may notice that English thoughts appear earlier in your day. Your sentences come faster because your mind is already active. You stop treating English like a difficult task waiting for the perfect time. There will be mornings when you feel tired, distracted, or unmotivated. On those days, do not cancel the routine. Make it smaller. Speak for 1 minute instead of 5. Say 3 sentences instead of 10. The most important thing is to protect the habit. Consistency does not mean doing everything perfectly every day. It means refusing to let an imperfect morning become a completely silent morning. Remember this: the first English victory of your day should happen before the world becomes busy. It does not need to be impressive. It only needs to be real. One clear thought, one spoken sentence, one small promise you keep to yourself. When you begin your day this way, English stops feeling like something you are always trying to find time for. It begins to feel like a natural part of who you are becoming. Turn your morning routine into natural English speaking practice. After you win the first few minutes of your morning, the next step is to carry English into the actions you already repeat every day. This is where many learners make a mistake. They believe speaking practice must happen in a special place, at a special time, with a book open in front of them. Because their morning is busy, they decide there is no time for English. But your morning routine is not stealing time from your practice. Your morning routine can become the practice. Think about what you do after getting out of bed. You wash your face, brush your teeth, choose your clothes, prepare breakfast, check your belongings, and get ready for work or study. These actions are familiar, which means your brain does not need to invent a topic. You already know what is happening. Your only task is to describe it in simple English. While washing your face, you might say, "The water feels cold this morning, but it is helping me wake up. I still feel sleepy, so I need a few minutes before I feel fully active." While choosing your clothes, you can say, "I am wearing this shirt because it is comfortable. The weather looks warm today, so I do not need a heavy jacket." These sentences are useful because they connect English with real decisions instead of random textbook examples. When language is connected to a real action, it becomes easier to remember. You are not trying to memorize the sentence, "I am making tea," from a notebook. You are actually making tea while saying it. Your eyes see the cup, your hands hold the spoon, your ears hear your voice, and your brain connects all of those experiences with English. That is much stronger than silent study. As you prepare breakfast, speak about the complete process. You might say, "First, I am boiling some water. While the water is heating, I will prepare the bread. I usually keep breakfast simple because I do not have much time in the morning. After I eat, I need to organize my bag and check today's schedule." Notice how one ordinary activity gives you practice with actions, habits, reasons, and future plans. Do not repeat only the name of every object. Build complete thoughts around what you see. Instead of saying only, "Cup, plate, bread," say, "The cup is beside the plate, and the bread is already on the table. I need to eat quickly because I want to leave on time." This teaches your brain to connect words into useful speaking patterns. You can also practice comparison. Say, "Today I woke up earlier than yesterday, so I have more time for breakfast. This tea is hotter than the tea I made yesterday. My morning feels calmer because I prepared everything last night." Comparison helps you create longer and more natural sentences without needing a new topic. Another powerful method is giving yourself small instructions in English. Before beginning an action, tell yourself what to do. Say, "Put the phone away and finish breakfast first. Check the door before leaving. Remember to take the notebook." These instructions are short, practical, and easy to repeat. Over time, English begins to appear naturally whenever you organize your actions. Some mornings, you may be surrounded by family members or other people, and speaking aloud may feel uncomfortable. In that situation, continue the routine silently inside your mind. Think in complete English sentences while performing each action. When you find a private moment, repeat 1 or 2 of those thoughts aloud so that your mouth also receives practice. You can make this routine more engaging by choosing a different morning focus each day. On Monday, describe actions. On Tuesday, describe objects and their positions. On Wednesday, explain your plans. On Thursday, talk about your feelings and energy. On Friday, compare today with yesterday. On the weekend, tell the complete story of your morning from the moment you woke up until breakfast ended. This variety prevents the routine from becoming boring, but the environment remains familiar enough to keep the language easy. Your kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom become places where English repeatedly appears. After a few weeks, familiar sentences will begin coming automatically because your brain has connected them with actions you perform every morning. Do not try to turn the entire morning into a non-stop English lesson. That can become tiring and difficult to maintain. Choose one activity and give it 5 focused minutes. Perhaps breakfast becomes your English speaking time. Perhaps getting dressed becomes your planning practice. A short routine completed every day is far more powerful than an ambitious routine you abandon after 3 mornings. There will be days when you forget. You may finish breakfast and suddenly realize that you did not speak any English. Do not tell yourself the day is ruined. Begin with the next action. Say, I forgot to practice earlier, but I can begin now. I am organizing my things, and I will leave in 10 minutes. The ability to restart quickly is more important than following the routine perfectly. Remember, fluency grows when English becomes connected to ordinary life. Your morning gives you the same actions every day, and repetition turns those actions into automatic language. The sentence that feels slow this week may appear instantly next month because your brain has heard and used it many times in the same real situation. So tomorrow morning, choose one part of your routine and describe it honestly. Do not search for impressive vocabulary. Use simple words, connect your ideas, and keep speaking while the action continues. Your breakfast can teach you sentence flow. Your clothes can teach you description. Your schedule can teach you future language. Your morning decisions can teach you confidence. You do not need to create another hour for English. You need to allow English to enter the hour you already have. Turn every journey into an English classroom. Let me ask you something. How much time do you spend traveling every day? Maybe you drive to work. Maybe you take a bus. Maybe you sit on a train. Maybe you walk to school or wait for public transport. Whatever your routine is, there is one thing that almost every English learner has in common. They travel every day. But very few of them use that time to become better English speakers. Instead, they scroll through social media, watch random videos, read unnecessary news, or simply stare out of the window waiting to arrive. Then they say, I don't have enough time to practice English. The truth is, the time was always there. It was simply being used for something else. Your daily journey can become one of the most powerful English classrooms you will ever have, because your brain is awake, your ears are free, and your attention is ready to absorb natural language. You do not need an expensive course. You do not need another textbook. You only need your phone, your headphones, and a clear purpose. But here is where many learners make another mistake. They choose content that is far too difficult. They open a complicated podcast filled with advanced vocabulary, understand almost nothing, become frustrated after 5 minutes, and finally turn it off. That is not smart practice. That is unnecessary pressure. Choose English that challenges you without overwhelming you. You should understand enough to follow the main idea while still hearing new words and natural expressions. This is where your brain grows the fastest. When you press play, do not begin by asking yourself, can I understand every word? Instead ask, what is the speaker trying to teach me? That single question changes your focus immediately. Your brain stops chasing individual words and starts following the message. Perhaps today's lesson is about confidence. Perhaps it is about success. Perhaps it is about daily habits. Perhaps it is simply a conversation between two friends. The topic is not the most important part. Learning how to follow ideas is. As you listen, imagine the speaker is talking directly to you. Do not become a passive listener, become an active participant. If the speaker asks a question, answer it. If they tell a story, imagine the scene. If they give advice, decide whether you agree or disagree. This simple habit keeps your mind connected instead of allowing it to wander. There is another technique that can completely transform your listening. After listening for 5 or 10 minutes, pause the audio for a moment and explain what you understood in your own English. You do not need to repeat the speaker's exact words, simply explain the idea. For example, you might say, "The speaker explained that consistency is more important than motivation because small daily habits create long-term improvement." Notice what just happened. You listened, you understood, you organized the information, then you spoke. That is exactly how real language develops. Listening and speaking should never be separated. They should strengthen each other every single day. Now let me give you another powerful habit. Every day, choose just 3 useful expressions from what you hear. Not 20, not 50, only 3. Perhaps you hear, "The point is," "What really matters is," "One thing I realized." Repeat those expressions aloud several times. Then immediately create your own sentences. The point is that I need more speaking practice. What really matters is consistency. One thing I realized is that I spend too much time translating. The moment you use an expression in your own life, it becomes much easier to remember. You are no longer memorizing English. You are living it. If your journey is longer than 20 minutes, divide it into 2 parts. During the first half, simply listen and enjoy the content. During the second half, become more active. Repeat useful sentences, answer questions, summarize ideas, predict what the speaker will say next. This keeps your brain fully engaged instead of becoming a passive listener. Another important habit is listening to the same audio more than once. Most learners are always searching for new content. But fluency does not come from hearing thousands of different conversations one time. It comes from hearing useful conversations enough times that your brain begins recognizing them automatically. The first time you listen, you understand the topic. The second time, you notice important vocabulary. The third time, you begin hearing connected speech. The fourth time, your brain starts predicting complete sentences. Every repetition builds stronger listening pathways. Never think that listening again is boring. Listening again is where real learning begins. There will be mornings when your journey feels short. Perhaps you only have 10 minutes. Do not think that 10 minutes is too little. 10 focused minutes every day becomes more than 60 hours of English listening in 1 year. Imagine what your brain can become after 60 hours of meaningful listening. That is how fluency is built, not through one extraordinary weekend, but through ordinary journeys repeated every single day. And before your journey ends, ask yourself one final question. What is one new sentence I can use today? Then use it. Say it to yourself. Record it on your phone. Repeat it during the day. Teach it to someone else. Because the moment you use English outside the audio, it stops being someone else's language. It becomes your language. Remember this. Every road you travel, every train you ride, every bus you take, every quiet morning walk can move 2 things forward at the same time: your destination and your English. The distance may stay the same every day, but if you use that time wisely, the person arriving at the end of the journey will be a stronger English speaker than the person who started it. Turn every break into a speaking session. Most people think they need 1 or 2 free hours every day to improve their English. That is one of the biggest myths in language learning. Let me ask you something. How many short breaks do you have during the day? Maybe you wait for your coffee. Maybe you take a lunch break. Maybe you are waiting for a meeting to begin. Maybe you are standing in a queue, sitting in your car, or resting for 5 minutes after finishing a task. These small moments usually disappear without purpose. People open social media, watch random videos, or simply wait for time to pass. Now imagine if every one of those short breaks became a 5-minute English speaking session. By the end of the day, you could easily complete 20 or 30 minutes of speaking practice without changing your schedule at all. This is how fluent learners think. They stop asking, "When can I study English?" Instead, they ask, "How can I turn this moment into English?" That simple question changes everything. During your first break, talk about what you have already done today. Say, "I finished 2 important tasks this morning. The first one was difficult because it took longer than I expected, but I stayed focused and completed it. Now I feel more relaxed because I know I am making progress." Notice something important. You are not memorizing sentences. You are talking about your real life. That makes your English more natural because your brain remembers experiences much better than isolated vocabulary. During your next break, talk about what you are going to do next. You might say, "After this break, I need to answer 3 emails, finish my project, and prepare for tomorrow's meeting. I want to complete everything before the evening so I can relax when I get home." Now you are naturally practicing future plans without opening a grammar book. Later in the afternoon, change your topic again. This time, describe something around you. Look through the window. Describe the weather. Describe the people walking outside. Describe the office, the classroom, the cafe, or wherever you are. Challenge yourself to continue speaking for 2 or 3 minutes without stopping. If you forget one word, do not switch back to your native language. Explain the idea using different English words. Suppose you cannot remember the word umbrella. Do not stop speaking. Instead say, "The thing people use when it rains." That is exactly what fluent speakers do when they forget a word. They do not stop communicating. They find another way to express the same idea. This habit is one of the biggest differences between confident speakers and nervous learners. Confident speakers trust themselves. Nervous learners wait for perfect vocabulary. There is another exercise I want you to practice every day. Choose one simple question and answer it for 3 full minutes. Questions like, "What made me smile today? What was the biggest challenge I faced? What is one thing I learned today? What kind of person do I want to become?" Do not answer in one sentence. Keep explaining, give examples, share your thoughts, add details. If you finish early, ask yourself, "Why?" Then continue speaking. This teaches your brain how to extend conversations naturally. Many English learners know enough vocabulary to speak for 30 seconds. The real challenge is learning how to continue after those first 30 seconds. That is why these speaking breaks are so powerful. They train your brain to connect one idea with another, instead of stopping after every short answer. Another habit that can completely transform your confidence is recording yourself. Many learners avoid this because they do not like hearing their own voice. But that discomfort disappears with practice. Record yourself speaking for 2 or 3 minutes during one break each day. Then listen to the recording later. Do not criticize yourself. Instead, ask only 3 questions. Was I understandable? Did I speak continuously? What is one small thing I can improve tomorrow? Notice that you are looking for improvement, not perfection. That mindset keeps your confidence growing. You will also begin noticing something surprising. The mistakes you hear today are often the mistakes you stop making tomorrow. Because once your brain becomes aware of them, it naturally begins correcting them. There is one final habit I want you to remember. Every time you finish a speaking session, reward yourself by saying, "I showed up today," not, "I was perfect," not, "I spoke like a native." Simply, "I showed up today." because fluency is built by people who keep showing up, even on ordinary days. Every short speaking break is another brick in the foundation of your confidence. One conversation today becomes 2 tomorrow. 2 minutes become 5. 5 become 10. Slowly, English stops feeling like something you only practice during lessons. It becomes the language you naturally return to throughout your entire day. Remember this: you do not need more free time. You need to use the free moments you already have. Those 5 quiet minutes between your responsibilities may look small today, but repeated every day, they become one of the biggest reasons you finally begin speaking English naturally. Make every conversation with yourself build real fluency. There is one habit that almost every fluent English speaker has developed, even if they do not realize it. They spend a great deal of time talking to themselves. They think through problems, explain ideas, plan their day, and replay conversations inside their minds. English learners rarely do this because they believe speaking only counts when another person is listening. That belief keeps them waiting for a speaking partner, waiting for a teacher, or waiting for the perfect opportunity. While they continue waiting, months pass without giving their own voice enough practice. The truth is that your brain does not care whether another person is standing in front of you. Every time you create English sentences, connect ideas, solve problems with words, and express your thoughts aloud, your speaking ability becomes stronger. Your mouth becomes more comfortable with English. Your confidence grows, and your thoughts begin moving more naturally from one sentence to the next. From today, I want you to make yourself your first conversation partner. Every afternoon or evening, find 10 minutes when you can be alone. Put your phone away. Stand in front of a mirror. Sit in your room, or take a quiet walk. Then choose one simple topic and begin talking as if someone had just asked you an interesting question. For example, ask yourself, "What was the best part of my day?" Do not answer with one short sentence. Tell the complete story. Explain what happened, why it mattered, how you felt, what you learned, and what you would do differently next time. Keep your voice moving, even if your grammar is not perfect. The goal is not to sound like a native speaker. The goal is to become comfortable expressing complete thoughts without stopping every few seconds. On another day, ask yourself, if I could improve one habit this month, what would it be? Speak honestly. Explain why that habit is important. Describe the challenges you face. Talk about the small steps you can take every day. The more personal your answers become, the more meaningful your English practice becomes, because you are speaking about your real life instead of memorizing someone else's examples. Another powerful exercise is explaining ordinary things in extraordinary detail. Pick up an object near you, perhaps a cup, a notebook, or your phone, and explain everything about it. Describe what it looks like, how often you use it, why it is useful, where you bought it, how it makes your daily life easier, and what would happen if you did not have it. One simple object can easily become 3 or 4 minutes of natural speaking practice if you allow your curiosity to guide the conversation. Do not become afraid of silence. When you cannot think of the next sentence, do not immediately stop. Instead, ask yourself another question. Why do I think this? Can I give an example? Has this ever happened before? What lesson did I learn from this experience? These questions naturally extend your answers and teach your brain how to continue speaking instead of ending every conversation too quickly. There will also be moments when you forget an English word. This happens to every learner, and it even happens to native speakers. The difference is that confident speakers do not allow one forgotten word to stop the entire conversation. They simply explain the idea using different words. If you cannot remember the word keyboard, you might say, "The thing I use to type on my computer." If you forget refrigerator, you can say, "The place where I keep my food cold." Every time you do this, your brain becomes more flexible, and flexibility is one of the hidden secrets of fluent communication. I also want you to begin creating imaginary conversations. Imagine you have just met someone from another country who asks you about your city, your family, your work, your hobbies, or your dreams. Answer those questions as naturally as possible. Then imagine that person asks another question and continue the conversation. This exercise teaches your brain to respond without needing a script because you are practicing the same skill you will use in real conversations. Recording yourself is another habit that can accelerate your progress. Once each day, record 2 or 3 minutes of your speaking. Later, listen carefully, not to criticize yourself, but to observe your progress. Notice where you hesitated, where your pronunciation became stronger, where your sentences flowed smoothly, and where you can improve tomorrow. Focus on one improvement at a time. Perhaps tomorrow you will reduce long pauses. The next day you will connect your ideas more smoothly. The following day you will speak with more confidence. Small improvements repeated consistently create remarkable results over time. Many learners make the mistake of judging themselves after every speaking session. They count every grammar mistake and every forgotten word while ignoring the fact that they just spent several minutes communicating entirely in English. That habit destroys confidence. Instead, finish every practice session by asking yourself 3 questions. Did I keep speaking? Did I communicate my ideas? Am I slightly better than I was yesterday? If the answer is yes, then your practice was successful. Remember that speaking is not a performance, it is a habit. The more often you express your thoughts in English, the more naturally your brain learns to organize ideas without translating every sentence. Little by little, you will notice that your answers become longer, your pauses become shorter, and your confidence becomes stronger. One day you will realize that you are no longer searching desperately for every word because your brain has finally learned to trust itself. That transformation does not happen because you found the perfect teacher or the perfect textbook. It happens because you stopped waiting for someone else to give you permission to speak and started using your own voice every single day. Your greatest speaking partner has always been with you. It is your own mind. The more conversations you have with it in English, the closer you move toward real fluency. End every evening by thinking, speaking, and living in English. Let me tell you something that can completely change the speed of your English improvement. Most learners believe their practice ends when they close the textbook, finish a lesson, or stop watching an English video. That is exactly where your most powerful practice should begin. The final hour of your day is one of the most valuable moments for language learning because your mind becomes quieter, distractions become fewer, and your brain naturally begins reviewing everything that happened during the day. Think about it. Every night before you sleep, your mind already starts replaying today's experiences. You remember conversations. You remember mistakes. You remember achievements. You remember moments that made you smile, or moments that challenged you. Most people replay all of those memories in their native language without even noticing it. Now imagine what would happen if you slowly taught your brain to replay those same memories in English. You would no longer be studying English. You would be living in English. That is the difference. Every evening, before you go to bed, spend 15 or 20 minutes having one long conversation with yourself. Do not make it feel like homework. Make it feel like you are telling your best friend about your day. Begin from the moment you woke up. Talk about your morning. Explain what you did first. Describe how you felt. Tell the story of your work or studies. Talk about the people you met. Explain the problems you solved. Describe something funny that happened. Mention something that disappointed you. Then finish by talking about what you learned from the day. The goal is not to produce perfect English. The goal is to train your brain to organize your thoughts naturally. Many learners only practice speaking about imaginary topics. What is your favorite color? What is your hobby? What is your favorite food? Those questions are useful for beginners, but they do not prepare you for real conversations. Real conversations are usually about your experiences, your opinions, your plans, your emotions, your decisions. That is exactly what your evening reflection should include. Suppose today was difficult. Do not simply say, "Today was hard." Explain why. Perhaps you had too much work. Perhaps you felt tired. Perhaps you became frustrated because you forgot some English words. Continue speaking until your thoughts become complete. Then ask yourself, what could I do differently tomorrow? Immediately your brain begins practicing future language. Without opening a grammar book, you have already spoken about the past, the present, and the future in one natural conversation. That is exactly how language develops. There is another habit I want you to build every evening. Choose one interesting moment from your day and tell the story as if you were speaking to someone who knows nothing about it. Include every important detail. Describe the people. Describe the place. Describe the emotions. Describe what happened first, then what happened next. Then explain how everything ended. Storytelling is one of the fastest ways to improve fluency, because stories naturally force your brain to connect one sentence to another. You stop giving short answers. You begin creating complete conversations. After telling your story once, tell it again. The second time, try using different words. Add more details. Explain your feelings more clearly. Every repetition makes your speaking stronger. This is exactly what athletes do. They do not perform an important movement once. They repeat it until their body remembers it automatically. Your brain learns English in exactly the same way. Repetition creates confidence. Another powerful evening habit is reading aloud for 10 minutes. Choose something enjoyable. A motivational article, a short story, an audiobook transcript, a speech. Read slowly. Do not rush. Focus on pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence. Then close the book and explain what you just read without looking at the page. This simple exercise combines reading, listening, memory, and speaking into one powerful routine. Now let me give you another exercise that very few learners use. Stand in front of a mirror. Look directly into your own eyes. Then begin speaking. At first it may feel uncomfortable. You may feel nervous. You may even laugh. That is completely normal. Keep going. Imagine you are speaking to a close friend who genuinely wants to hear your thoughts. The mirror gives you something extremely valuable. It teaches you to maintain eye contact while speaking English. It helps you become more aware of your expressions, your confidence, and your body language. Many learners know English, but they look nervous every time they speak. The mirror slowly removes that fear. After a few weeks, speaking to another person begins feeling much easier because you have already become comfortable looking at yourself while speaking. Now I want to introduce one final habit before you sleep. Write 3 simple sentences in English. The first sentence should describe something you did well today. The second sentence should describe one thing you learned. The third sentence should describe one goal for tomorrow. For example, today I spoke English for 15 minutes without stopping. Today I learned 3 new expressions. Tomorrow I will practice listening during my journey. These 3 sentences may seem small, but they quietly tell your brain that English is now part of your daily identity. Not an occasional activity, a daily habit. Before turning off the light, close your eyes for 1 minute. Imagine yourself speaking confidently with another person completely in English. Imagine understanding every question calmly. Imagine answering naturally without translating. Imagine smiling because the conversation feels easy. Your brain responds to repeated mental pictures. The more often you imagine yourself succeeding, the less frightening real conversations become. Finally, I want you to remember something that many learners forget. Never finish your day by thinking about your mistakes. Finish your day by thinking about your progress. Perhaps today you spoke for only 5 minutes. Yesterday you spoke for 2. That is progress. Perhaps today you understood one extra sentence in a podcast. That is progress. Perhaps today you answered one question without translating. That is progress. Small victories repeated every evening become extraordinary confidence after a few months. One day you will wake up and realize something remarkable. English is no longer something you switch on during study time. It has quietly become part of the way you think, part of the way you plan, part of the way you remember, part of the way you dream about tomorrow. That is the moment every learner hopes for, not because you memorized thousands of words, not because you completed another grammar book, but because your daily routine slowly transformed English from a subject you studied into a language you naturally live every single day. Turn your entire life into an English environment. Let me ask you one final question. What if the reason you are still struggling with English has nothing to do with your intelligence, your memory, or your pronunciation? What if the real problem is much simpler? You only live with English for a few minutes each day. Then you spend the other 23 hours living completely in your native language. Now think about that honestly. If English only exists while you are watching one lesson or completing one exercise, how can your brain ever believe that English is a language it should use naturally? It cannot. Your brain becomes fluent in the language it experiences every day. That is why the final step in your morning to night routine is not another lesson. It is creating an English environment that quietly surrounds you throughout the day. Because when your environment changes, your habits change. When your habits change, your brain changes. And when your brain changes, your English begins to feel natural. The good news is that you do not need to move to another country. You do not need to live with native speakers. You can build your own English world wherever you are. Start with the simplest things around you. Change the language on your phone to English. Change your computer. Change your smart television. Change the language of the apps you use every day. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You may need a little more time to find certain settings. That is perfectly normal. Your brain is adjusting. Within a few days, words that once looked unfamiliar will become completely normal because you will see them every single day. Without opening a vocabulary book, you will naturally learn hundreds of useful words simply because they become part of your daily life. Now look around your room. Every object has a name: the table, the chair, the window, the mirror, the notebook, the lamp, the pillow, the door. Instead of seeing only objects, begin seeing English. Whenever you enter your room, quietly describe what you see. The lamp is beside the bed. The window is open. The weather looks beautiful today. The room feels peaceful. Do not underestimate these small moments. Your brain learns through repetition, not through difficulty. Another habit that can completely transform your fluency is controlling what enters your ears. Most people spend hours every day listening to something: music, videos, news, podcasts. Replace just part of that time with English. Listen while you cook. Listen while you clean. Listen while you exercise. Listen while you travel. Listen while you relax. Do not worry if you miss some words. Your goal is not perfect understanding. Your goal is constant exposure. The more often your brain hears natural English, the more familiar English rhythm becomes. Eventually, your ears stop feeling surprised by the language. It begins sounding normal. There is another powerful habit that very few learners use. Choose one English phrase every morning. Only one. Perhaps today's phrase is, "As far as I know," or "The good thing is," or "What I have learned is." Your challenge is to use that phrase at least 5 times before you go to bed. Say it while talking to yourself. Use it in your journal. Record yourself using it. Create different examples. By the evening, that phrase will no longer feel new. It will feel like part of your own vocabulary. Imagine doing that every day for 1 year. You would naturally master hundreds of useful expressions without ever feeling overwhelmed. I also want you to stop thinking of mistakes as enemies. Every mistake is proof that you are using English. People who never make mistakes are usually the people who never speak. Confident learners understand something important. Every correction brings them one step closer to fluency. So instead of asking, "How many mistakes did I make today?" ask yourself, "How many times did I choose English today?" That question changes your entire mindset. Now let me give you one final daily challenge. Choose 1 hour every evening and make it your English hour. During that hour, everything around you becomes English. Your thoughts, your phone, your reading, your listening, your speaking. If you need to search for something online, search in English. If you watch a video, watch it in English. If you write a note, write it in English. If you speak to yourself, speak only in English. Protect that 1 hour. Treat it like an appointment with your future self. Because every English hour brings you one step closer to becoming the confident speaker you want to be. There will be days when you feel tired. There will be days when work becomes overwhelming. There will be days when you feel that your English has stopped improving. Do not believe that feeling. Progress is often invisible while it is happening. Think about planting a tree. You water it every day. For weeks, you see almost nothing. Then one morning, you notice fresh green leaves. The tree did not suddenly grow overnight. It was growing quietly every single day beneath the surface. Your English grows exactly the same way. Every sentence you speak, every podcast you hear, every page you read, every thought you create in English, every mistake you correct, every habit you repeat. They are all building something you cannot always see, until one day someone asks you a question in English, and before you even realize what happened, you answer naturally, without translating, without fear, without searching desperately for words. You simply speak. That moment is not luck. It is the result of hundreds of ordinary days when you chose English again and again, even when nobody was watching. So promise yourself something today. Do not let English remain a subject that lives only inside a notebook. Invite it into your morning. Invite it into your work. Invite it into your journey. Invite it into your conversations. Invite it into your evenings. Invite it into your life. Because the day English becomes part of your lifestyle is the day fluency stops being a distant dream and starts becoming your everyday reality. Before we finish, I want you to remember one simple truth. Fluent English is not built in one perfect lesson. It is built in hundreds of ordinary moments that most people ignore. The moment you wake up, the moment you prepare breakfast, the journey to work, the quiet 5-minute break, the conversation you have with yourself, the podcast you listen to, the thoughts you have before you fall asleep. These small moments may not look important on their own, but together, they create the person you will become. Too many learners keep asking, what is the fastest way to become fluent? The better question is, what kind of person do I need to become every single day? Because fluent speakers are not simply people who know more English. They are people who have made English part of their daily lives. They do not wait for motivation. They do not wait for free time. They do not wait for the perfect course. They create small habits, repeat them every day, and allow those habits to quietly change the way they think. That is exactly what this morning to night English routine is designed to do. Not to overwhelm you, not to fill your day with endless study, but to help English become something as natural as brushing your teeth, drinking your morning coffee, walking to work, or reflecting before bed. If you follow this routine consistently, something incredible will happen. One morning, you will notice that your first thought appears in English. One afternoon, you will answer a question without translating. One evening, you will finish an entire conversation and suddenly realize you never searched for words. You simply spoke. That moment will not feel dramatic. It will feel natural, and that is the real goal. Not to impress people with difficult vocabulary, not to sound perfect, but to express yourself with confidence, clarity, and freedom. So starting tomorrow morning, make one promise to yourself. Do not chase perfection, chase consistency. Speak one more sentence. Listen 5 more minutes. Learn one more useful expression. Tell yourself one more story in English. Those small victories may seem invisible today, but they are quietly building the fluent speaker you dream of becoming. Remember, confidence does not come before action. Confidence is created by action. Every single day you choose English, your fear becomes smaller, your confidence becomes stronger, your thoughts become clearer, your voice becomes more natural. And one day, without even realizing when it happened, English will stop feeling like a language you are learning. It will become a language you naturally live. If this audiobook inspired you, subscribe to English Growth Mindset and become part of a community that believes fluency is not a talent you are born with. It is a habit you build. And before you leave, I want you to write one sentence in the comments. Today I stop waiting. Today I start living in English. That single promise could become the beginning of a completely different future. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep showing up every morning. Keep trusting the process every afternoon. Keep growing every evening. And never forget, the English you dream of speaking tomorrow is created by the small choices you make today. I'll see you in the next audiobook.